At 17, my adopted sister claimed I got her pregnant. My family cut me off, my GF walked away, and I disappeared. 10 years later, the truth came out, and they came crying to my door. I never answered. My own sister accused me of something unspeakable at 17, and my family believed her. They cast me out, my world shattered, and I vanished. 10 years later, with the truth finally exposed, they came begging at my door, but I refused to open it. This isn't some distant memory, the echoes of that betrayal still define who I am today. I'm Daniel, 27 now, but this story really kicks off when I was 17, in a quiet suburb just outside of Austin, Texas. I'd been adopted at 3 by David and Susan. They seemed like good people back then. They already had their biological daughter, Chloe, 2 years my junior. Growing up, Chloe and I were normal. Not inseparable, not enemies, just siblings. The usual stuff. David and Susan provided everything, a nice house, a good school, food on the table. Materially, I lacked nothing. But there was always this invisible line, a constant, subtle reminder that I was different. Little comments like, "You should be grateful," or "We chose you." They probably didn't mean to hurt, but those words stuck to me, heavy and permanent. Chloe was the golden child. Straight A's, volleyball captain, popular, beautiful. I was just decent. B's and C's. Played basketball, had a small group of friends. And I had a girlfriend, Sarah. We'd been together for about 8 months when everything crashed. She was my first real love, the kind of all-consuming passion only teenagers truly feel. Then March of my junior year hit. I came home from basketball practice around 6. The house felt wrong the second I stepped inside. Susan was at the kitchen table, sobbing. David stood behind her, hand on her shoulder, his face a hard mask. Chloe sat across from them, eyes swollen and red. "Sit down, Daniel," David said, his voice flat. My stomach dropped. I knew something awful was coming, but I couldn't even begin to imagine this. I slowly sank into a chair, my backpack still slung over my shoulder. "Chloe has something to tell us," Susan choked out between tears. Chloe looked at me, and for a split second, I saw something I couldn't place, fear, maybe, or something colder. Then she looked down at her hands. "I'm pregnant," she whispered. My head spun. My first thought was about Liam, her boyfriend from school. She'd been with him for months. I opened my mouth to ask, but then she said something that didn't just change my life, it ripped it apart. "Daniel is the father." I actually laughed. It was so utterly ridiculous, my brain couldn't process it. It had to be some sick joke. "What?" I blurted, still laughing, disbelief rising. "That's insane. We never, that's not even possible." David's hand tightened on Susan's shoulder. "Don't you dare lie to us." "I'm not lying." My voice was getting louder, desperate. "I've never touched her. We're siblings." "Step-siblings," Chloe said quietly, still not looking at me. "And you? You said you loved me. You said we could be together." My world was imploding. "What are you talking about? I never said anything like that. I have a girlfriend." "You told me Sarah didn't mean anything," Chloe continued, her voice so incredibly convincing, so steady. "You said you wanted to be with me instead." "That's a damn lie." I shot up, my chair clattering backward. "Mom! Dad! You have to believe me. I never touched her." "I would never." "Sit down," my father barked. "We're not done here." I stayed standing. "There's nothing to be done, because I didn't do anything." Susan finally looked at me, and the disgust in her eyes shattered something deep inside me. "How could you do this to your sister? To this family? We took you in. We gave you everything. And this is how you repay us? I didn't do anything. I was shouting now, tears blurring my vision. You have to believe me. We saw the messages, David said, cold as ice. What messages? Chloe pulled out her phone and handed it to my father. He stared at the screen, his jaw clenching, then turned it toward me. Texts. From my number to hers. Saying I wanted to be with her. Saying I loved her. Saying things that made me want to vomit. I never sent those, I whispered, my voice breaking. I don't know how. Someone faked them. Please. They're from your phone number, Susan said. Then she did something to make it look like they came from me. It's not that hard. Stop blaming your sister for your mistakes, David cut in. She's the victim here. Victim. That word hit me like a physical blow. Get a paternity test. I begged. When the baby's born, get a test. That'll prove I'm telling the truth. Oh, we will, David said. But in the meantime, you need to leave. Leave this house tonight. Pack a bag. I'll give you $300, but that's it. I won't have you under the same roof as your sister after what you've done. I looked at Susan, desperate for her to defend me, for just a flicker of belief. She just kept crying, her face buried in her hands. Mom, please, I whispered. She didn't look up. I walked upstairs like I was moving through thick water. Everything felt unreal, a nightmare I couldn't wake from. I packed clothes, my laptop, a few photos. I could hear Chloe's shaky, traumatized voice from downstairs, talking to my parents. She was good. She was really good. Before I left, I tried one last time. I'm telling the truth. I never touched her. I don't know why she's doing this, but I'm innocent. My father handed me an envelope of cash. Get out of my house. I left. It was raining. I remember that detail so clearly. The rain soaking through my thin jacket as I walked down the driveway, my duffel bag heavy, nowhere to go. I called Sarah from a gas station. Hey, can I come over? Something happened. I know what happened, she said, her voice like ice. Chloe called me. She told me everything. My blood ran cold. It's not true. Whatever she said, you got your sister pregnant, Daniel. Your own sister. I never want to see you again. She hung up. I tried calling back, but she blocked me. I texted from the payphone number. No response. I stayed at a motel that first night, the kind with stained carpets and a flickering TV. I counted my money. $273. I'd already spent some on the room. School was impossible. The news spread like wildfire. By Monday morning, everyone knew. Whispers followed me in the halls. Some confronted me directly. Ben Carter, one of my teammates, shoved me into a locker. You're a sick creep, Daniel. I tried to explain, but no one wanted to hear it. The rumor was too juicy, too scandalous. The adopted kid who got his sister pregnant. It was the kind of story people loved to share. My basketball coach called me into his office. I'm sorry, Daniel, but we can't have you on the team anymore. It's a distraction. Coach, it doesn't matter what you did or didn't do. The optics are bad. Sarah's friends harassed me constantly. Someone spray-painted pervert on my locker. The principal called me in, asking if I needed counseling, even he assumed I was guilty. I stopped going to school after 2 weeks. What was the point? I called David and Susan several times, begging them to listen. They never picked up. I drove by the house once and saw my father putting my basketball trophies into a trash bag. That's when it truly sank in. I was erased. They were removing any evidence I'd ever been part of their family. I had nowhere to go. No extended family. My biological parents were gone, which is why I'd ended up in foster care before the adoption. No close friends who believed me. I was completely alone. I lived in my car for 3 weeks. A beat-up 1998 Honda Civic I'd bought with summer job money. I parked in different places each night so no one would notice. Walmart parking lots, mostly. I ate $8 menu items and showered at a community center. The community center became my lifeline. I'd show up early, 6 a.m. when they opened, pretend I was there to work out, then use the showers. The staff never questioned me. There was this older guy, Walter, who worked the front desk. Kind eyes, gray beard. He'd always nod at me. I think he knew, but he never said anything. Sometimes he'd slip me a protein bar or a banana from the staff room. One morning, Walter stopped me. "You doing okay, kid?" I almost broke down right there. No one had asked me that in weeks. "Yeah, I'm fine." He didn't believe me, I could see it. "Need a place to stay?" "I'm good." He handed me a card for a youth shelter. Just in case. No judgment. I took the card but never went. Pride, maybe. Or fear that admitting how bad things were would make them too real, too permanent to escape. Nights were the hardest. Austin in spring isn't too cold, but sleeping in a car is never comfortable. I'd recline the driver's seat, ball up my jacket as a pillow, and try to sleep. Every sound made me jump. Every knock on the window from security guards sent my heart racing. I got moved along a lot. "Can't sleep here, kid." "Move it along." I'd drive to another parking lot and try again. During the day, I'd go to the public library. Free Wi-Fi, air conditioning, bathrooms. I'd sit in the back corner with my laptop, applying for jobs online. No one wants to hire a high school dropout with no experience. I filled out probably 50 applications before I got a single call back. The warehouse job came through in April. A logistics company needing bodies to move boxes. The interview lasted 5 minutes. Mike, the manager, a guy with a beer gut and a sunburn, just asked if I could lift 50 pounds and show up on time. "Yeah, you start Monday, 6 in the morning. Don't be late." The work was backbreaking. 10-hour shifts, 6 days a week, moving inventory in a facility with broken air conditioning. By the end of each shift, my hands were raw, my back screamed, but the pain was good. It kept my mind occupied. Plus, I was making money. $8.50 an hour, just enough to survive. After my first paycheck, I found a room to rent. Craigslist ad, no credit check. The house was in a rough neighborhood. Bars on windows, graffiti, sirens at night. My room was barely big enough for a twin mattress and a dresser. Stained carpet, thin walls, a leaky ceiling when it rained. But it was shelter. It was mine. My housemates were interesting. Miguel, mid-30s, worked overnight at a gas station, always smelled like cigarettes. Leo, early 20s, dealt weed from his bedroom and played video games all day. Frank, probably 45, told stories about doing time. And Jesse, who I never quite figured out. He'd vanish for days, come back with wads of cash, then disappear again. They mostly left me alone. I kept my head down, paid my rent, stayed out of their business. I worked at the warehouse through summer and into fall. The routine became automatic. Wake at 5, work by 6, move boxes until 4, come home exhausted, eat something cheap, sleep, repeat. My body adapted. I got stronger, leaner. My hands calloused. I stopped feeling the constant ache, but my mind never stopped turning. Every night, I'd lie on my mattress, replaying everything. Why Chloe did it. When my parents stopped believing me. If Sarah ever thought about me. I drove past my old high school once. Lunch period. Students scattered across the lawn. I saw people I used to know. Alex Reed, from math. Olivia Bell, my history project partner. They looked so young, so carefree, like they existed in a different universe. I wondered if they ever talked about me. If I'd become a cautionary tale. Remember Daniel, the guy who got his sister pregnant? So messed up. The anger would surge through me in waves. I'd punch my pillow, pace my tiny room, imagine confronting Chloe and demanding to know why. Why me? Why destroy an innocent person? What had I ever done to her? But anger fades when there's nobody to direct it at. Eventually, it just turned into this hollow ache in my chest. I dropped out of high school. Couldn't face it. The warehouse job, moving boxes for minimum wage, was enough for that room in that sketchy part of town, sharing a house with guys who didn't ask questions. In October, I ran into someone from my old life. I was at a grocery store, buying ramen and eggs, when I heard a familiar voice. Daniel? I turned. It was Ms. Evans, my old English teacher. She'd always been kind, encouraged my writing. Oh my God, Daniel. Where have you been? You just vanished. I couldn't speak for a moment. Seeing someone from before made everything feel raw again. I had to leave. I finally managed. Her expression shifted, and I saw the exact moment she remembered the rumors. That careful, pitying look. I heard about what happened with your family. That must have been so difficult. Difficult? Like it was a divorce or something. Yeah. Well, it is what it is. Are you back in school? You were such a bright student. You could still get your diploma. You know, there are programs. I'm not interested. She flinched at my tone. Daniel, I just want to help. If you need anything, I don't need anything from anyone. Have a good day, Ms. Evans. I left my groceries in the cart and walked out, sat in my car, shaking. Even the people who'd been kind to me believed the story. Even the ones who should have known me better. That's when something inside me hardened completely. If everyone was going to see me as a monster, I might as well disappear entirely. Months passed. I kept thinking they'd realize the truth. Kept thinking Chloe would come clean. Kept waiting for an apology. It never came. I heard through the grapevine that Chloe had the baby in November. A boy, Lucas. I waited for the call about the paternity test. It never came. I found out later, years later, from Sarah, that my father had actually scheduled one. But Chloe had a meltdown the day before, crying and begging them not to make her go through with it. She said it would be too traumatic, that she couldn't handle the stress while caring for a newborn. My mother, ever protective of her golden child, convinced my father to drop it. We know the truth, she told him. We don't need a test to prove what we already know. That decision haunted them later. But at the time, they chose to believe their daughter over the possibility that they'd made a catastrophic mistake. I couldn't take it anymore. One day in December, I walked into a recruiting office and enlisted in the army. I needed to disappear. Needed to become someone else. The recruiter didn't care about my story. He just saw a desperate kid with no direction, which was perfect for them. I left Austin in January, right after turning 18. Basic training at Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri. It was brutal, but I welcomed the pain. Physical exhaustion meant I didn't have time to think about what I'd lost. I cut off all contact with anyone from my old life. Changed my phone number, deleted all social media. As far as Austin was concerned, Daniel no longer existed. The army became my new family. Ironic, considering how badly the last one had worked out. I served for 4 years, did a tour in Afghanistan, got promoted to specialist. The structure helped. Following orders meant I didn't have to make decisions. Being surrounded by people who knew nothing about my past meant I could reinvent myself. I deployed to Afghanistan when I was 20, about 2 years into my service. Our unit was stationed at a forward operating base in Kandahar province, running convoy security and building relationships with local villages. The first time I came under fire, I thought I'd freeze up. All that anger and pain I'd been carrying, I thought it would paralyze me when things got real. But the opposite happened. Years of being helpless, of having my life torn apart with no way to fight back, had created this reservoir of controlled focus. When the bullets started flying, I went cold and calm. My squad leader, Sergeant Miller, noticed. "Daniel, you're steady under pressure. Good trait to have out here." I made friends in Afghanistan. Real friends, maybe for the first time since everything fell apart. There was Antonio, a wiry kid from Florida who could make anyone laugh. Ethan, a quiet guy from Boston who joined for the same reason I did, nowhere else to go. And Kevin, built like a truck, who'd been a college football player before an injury ended his scholarship, and the army became Plan B. We trusted each other in a way I didn't know was possible. When your life depends on the person next to you, all the other crap falls away. Nobody cared about my past because everyone out there was running from something or toward something. We were all just trying to survive and get home. One night, Antonio and I were pulling guard duty. 2 in the morning, cold as hell, nothing but darkness and the occasional sound of distant mortars. "You ever talk to your family?" Antonio asked out of nowhere. "Don't have one. Everyone's got somebody." "Not me." He didn't push, which I appreciated. After a while, he said, "This is my family now. You guys. I guess that makes you my brother." Something in my chest cracked a little. Yeah, I guess so. We lost Kevin about 8 months into the deployment. On a supply route. 1 second, he was there, cracking jokes about the care package his mom had sent with homemade cookies. The next second, gone. Just like that. I carried his body to the medevac helicopter. His blood soaked through my uniform. At the memorial service, I couldn't cry. Couldn't feel anything except this dull throb where emotions should have been. Ethan found me later, sitting alone outside the barracks. "You okay?" "I'm fine." "You're not fine." "None of us are fine." "What's the point?" I said. "What's the point of caring about anyone when they just leave or turn on you or die?" "The point," Ethan said slowly, "is that Kevin died knowing we had his back. Knowing he mattered to us. That's more than a lot of people get." Maybe he was right. Maybe it wasn't. Afghanistan changed me in ways I'm still unpacking. The experience reinforced what I'd already learned at 17, that life is fragile, that people you trust can disappear in an instant, and that the only person you can truly rely on is yourself. After my service, I used my GI Bill to go to college, the University of Colorado, Denver. I studied information technology, discovered I had a knack for coding. I worked my butt off, graduated with honors, and landed a job at a tech company in Denver. By the time I was 26, I was doing okay. Not great, but okay. I had a decent apartment, a stable job, a few casual friends. I didn't date much. Trust issues, go figure. But I was surviving, which was more than I'd expected years earlier. College was strange after the army. I was older than most of my classmates, had seen things they couldn't imagine. While they stressed about exams and relationships, I was just grateful to be alive and have a roof over my head. The perspective made me a good student, but a terrible fit socially. There was this girl in my computer science class, Emily. Smart, pretty, funny. She asked me to study with her once, and I could tell she was interested in more than just academics. We got coffee a few times. She tried to learn about me, asked where I grew up, what my family was like. I don't really talk about my past, I'd say. Everyone has a past. Mine isn't worth discussing. She'd laugh like I was being mysterious on purpose. After a few weeks, she invited me to a party at her apartment. I went, thinking maybe I could try to be normal. The place was packed with college kids drinking cheap beer, playing music too loud, living their carefree lives. Someone asked me where I was from. Austin, I said. Oh, cool. Do you go back often? See your family? No, why not? The conversation went downhill from there. I could feel myself shutting down, building walls. Emily noticed. She pulled me aside later. Are you okay? You seem really tense. I'm fine. Just not good at parties. We could leave, go somewhere quieter. Part of me wanted to say yes, wanted to try. But the larger part, the damaged part, knew I'd just disappoint her eventually. Everyone wants to know your story, and mine was too ugly to share. I think I'm just going to head home. Her face fell. Did I do something wrong? No, you're great. I'm not ready for this. For anything. I left and never texted her again. She stopped trying after a week. I saw her around campus sometimes after that. She found some guy who could give her what she wanted, someone whole, someone without a decade of trauma weighing on every interaction. Good for her. My apartment in Denver was a one-bedroom in a decent neighborhood. Nothing fancy, but it had a working kitchen, reliable heat, and neighbors who minded their own business. I furnished it slowly with stuff from thrift stores and IKEA. A couch more comfortable than it looked. A desk where I could code in my free time. A bed that didn't smell like cigarettes or mold. I filled my time with work and personal projects. I'd code late into the night, building apps and websites nobody would ever use, just because I could. Control. That's what it gave me. Complete control over something. If there was a bug, I could fix it. If something broke, I could rebuild it. Unlike people, code made sense. My coworkers tried to be friendly. There was this team lead, Chris, who'd invite me to happy hours and office lunches. I'd go sometimes, sit quietly, nursing a beer while everyone else laughed and bonded. They'd ask about my weekend plans. Nothing much. Working on a project. All work and no play, Daniel. I'd smile like I got the reference, like I was part of the joke. Chris pulled me aside one day after a particularly awkward team lunch. Hey man, I know you're more reserved and that's cool. But if you ever want to talk about anything, I'm here. No judgment. I appreciate that. I'm serious. I've seen that look before. My brother came back from Iraq with it. That 1,000-yard stare. Whatever you've been through, you don't have to carry it alone. I wanted to tell him everything, right then. Wanted to unload the whole story and maybe find some relief in sharing it. But the words wouldn't come. I'm good. Really, but thank you. He nodded slowly. Offer stands anytime. I'd changed physically and mentally. Military training had bulked me up. I'd grown a beard. Dressed differently. The skinny, scared 17-year-old was gone, replaced by someone harder. Someone who'd learned that families were temporary, and people would believe whatever narrative was most entertaining. I thought about them sometimes. My former family, Chloe. I wondered if she ever felt guilty. If Lucas grew up knowing the story of his conception was a lie. If David and Susan ever questioned what they'd done. Every year on my birthday, I'd have this moment where I'd think about calling them. Just to hear their voices, just to know if they ever thought about me. But I never did. What would I say? Hey, remember when you threw me away like garbage? Good times. Social media made it worse. I deleted all my accounts, but sometimes curiosity got the better of me. I'd look them up on public profiles. Susan posting pictures of family dinners I wasn't invited to. David at some charity golf tournament. Chloe with Lucas, smiling like she hadn't destroyed someone's life. They looked happy. That was the knife twist. They'd moved on completely while I was still dealing with the aftermath of what they'd done. Mostly, though, I tried not to think about them at all. Then 3 months ago, I got a message on LinkedIn. Sarah. My heart stopped when I saw her name. I hadn't thought about her in years, or at least I'd gotten good at pretending I hadn't. The message was short. Daniel, I know you probably don't want to hear from me, but I need to talk to you. It's about Chloe. Please call me. She included her phone number. I stared at that message for 2 days before responding. Part of me wanted to delete it, block her. Part of me needed to know what could possibly be important enough for her to reach out after a decade. I called on a Saturday morning. Daniel? Her voice was older, but I recognized it immediately. Yeah. Oh my God, I didn't think you'd actually call. How are you? Fine. What do you want, Sarah? Silence on the other end. Then, I'm so sorry. She paused. I didn't. I should have believed you, she continued, her voice cracking. I should have listened. I was 17 and stupid, and I believed what everyone else believed. I'm so sorry. Why are you calling me now? Because the truth came out. About Chloe? About what she did to you? My hands started shaking. What are you talking about? She confessed. Last month. The whole thing. Liam was Lucas's father, her boyfriend at the time. He'd broken up with her when he found out she was pregnant. Said he wanted nothing to do with the baby. She panicked and blamed you instead. She faked those text messages using some app. She destroyed your life, and she finally admitted it. The room tilted. I sat down hard on my couch. Your parents know, Sarah went on. Everyone knows. It's been all over Facebook. People from school are talking about it. Chloe's in therapy now. Apparently, she had some kind of breakdown and confessed everything to her therapist, who convinced her to tell your parents. They're devastated. I couldn't speak. Daniel, are you there? Yeah. They've been trying to find you. Your parents? They want to apologize. They want you to come home. I laughed, and it came out bitter and harsh. Home? I don't have a home. I know. I know you don't owe them anything, but I thought you deserved to know the truth. 10 years, I said quietly. 10 damn years. I know. They threw me away like garbage. Everyone did. My entire life fell apart because of her lies. And now they want to apologize. I can't speak for them. I wanted you to know, and I wanted to say I'm sorry. For not believing you. For not standing by you. You deserved better. Yeah, I said. I did. We talked for a few more minutes. She told me she was married now, working as a nurse, living in Plano, Texas. She seemed happy. Good for her. After we hung up, I just sat there for hours, processing, feeling everything and nothing at once. The first emotion was vindication. I'd been right. I'd been telling the truth the entire time, and now everyone knew it. All those people who had called me a liar, who'd looked at me with disgust, who'd turned their backs, they knew now that they'd been wrong. But vindication felt hollow. It didn't undo the damage. It didn't give me back my teenage years. It didn't erase the nights I'd slept in my car or the shame I carried, or the person I might have been if none of this had happened. The second emotion was rage. Pure, white-hot fury at Chloe for what she'd done. At David and Susan for believing her so easily. At Sarah and everyone else who'd abandoned me without a second thought. They'd all moved on with their lives while I'd been left to pick up the pieces alone. I punched a hole in my drywall, felt the pain shoot through my knuckles, looked at the damage, and immediately regretted it. I'd have to fix that before my landlord noticed. But in the moment, I didn't care. I needed to hit something. The third emotion was grief. For the Daniel who'd existed before all this. The kid who trusted people, who believed family meant something, who thought the world was fundamentally fair. That kid was dead, and no apology could bring him back. I called in sick to work the next day. Spent hours just walking around Denver, trying to process everything. I ended up at Washington Park, watching families play with their kids, couples walk their dogs, people living normal lives. A father threw a football with his son, probably 8 or 9 years old. The kid missed a catch, and the ball rolled near my bench. I picked it up, handed it back to him. "Thanks, mister." The father jogged over. "Appreciate it. You have kids?" "No, well, if you ever do, enjoy this age. They grow up fast." He jogged back to his son, ruffled his hair, threw another pass. Such a simple moment of paternal affection. Something I'd never really had, even before everything fell apart. I thought about Lucas, Chloe's son. He'd be around 10 now. Did he know the truth? Did Chloe tell him that she'd framed someone else for his conception? Or was he still living with the lie? Poor kid. None of this was his fault, but he'd have to live with the consequences of his mother's choices. Over the next few days, I started researching what had happened. I created a fake Facebook account, against my better judgment, and looked through public posts. The story was everywhere in the Austin social media circles. Alex Reed, my old classmate, had posted, "Just found out Daniel was innocent all along. We all treated him like a monster. I feel sick. Olivia Bell, I can't believe Chloe lied about something so serious. Daniel, if you're out there, I'm so sorry." Even Ben Carter, the guy who'd shoved me into a locker, I owe Daniel a massive apology. We all do. What happened to him was wrong. Too little, too late. These people had watched me suffer and said nothing. Now they wanted to clear their consciences with public apologies I'd never see. I found Chloe's profile. She'd made it private after everything came out, but her last public post was an apology. A long, rambling thing about how she'd been young and scared and made a terrible mistake. How she'd lived with the guilt for 10 years. How she understood if I never forgave her. The comments were mixed. Some people supporting her, saying everyone makes mistakes. Others calling her out, saying she'd committed a life-ruining act and deserved no sympathy. I closed the browser. Reading about it was making everything worse. 2 weeks after Sarah's call, they showed up. I was home on a Tuesday evening, eating leftover Chinese food and watching Netflix when my doorbell rang. I wasn't expecting anyone. I almost didn't answer, but something made me check the peephole. My mother, Susan, stood on my doorstep, older and grayer than I remembered. My father, David, beside her, shoulders hunched in a way they'd never been before. And behind them, Chloe, looking small and broken. My heart pounded so hard I thought I might pass out. The doorbell rang again, then knocking. "Daniel," my mother's voice, muffled through the door. "Daniel, sweetheart, please. We know you're in there. Sarah told us where you work and we just want to talk to you." I stood frozen, pressed to the peephole, watching them. My father cleared his throat. "Son, we made a terrible mistake. The worst mistake of our lives. Please let us." Explain. Let us apologize. Chloe stepped forward. She was crying. Daniel, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I was scared and stupid, and I destroyed your life, and I can never make it right. But please let me try to explain. More knocking, harder now. Desperate. We love you, my mother sobbed. We never stopped loving you. We were wrong. We should have believed you. Please open the door. I watched them for 20 minutes. Watched my mother collapse against my father, crying so hard her whole body shook. Watched Chloe sink down to sit on my doorstep, her face in her hands. Watched my father's shoulders shake with silent tears. Neighbors started peeking out, curious about the commotion. Eventually, they left. My mother left a note tucked under my doormat. I waited an hour before retrieving it. The note was long, handwritten, tear-stained. She begged for forgiveness. Explained how devastated they were when they learned the truth. How they tried everything to find me, how they wanted me back in their lives, wanted to make amends, wanted to be a family again. She left phone numbers, addresses, email addresses. I burned the note in my kitchen sink. They came back 3 more times over the next month. Always the same, always begging, always crying. I never answered. People have told me I should hear them out. That forgiveness is healing. That everyone makes mistakes. That they were deceived too, in a way. But here's the thing those people don't understand. My family threw me away when I needed them most. They chose to believe the worst about me without any real evidence. They turned their backs on me completely. They let me drop out of school, live in my car, banish me from their lives without ever questioning if Chloe might be lying. A mother who loved her son would have fought for him, demanded answers, looked at the situation with clear eyes and seen the holes in Chloe's story. They saw me as disposable. The adopted kid who should be grateful, the outsider who never quite belonged. And when I was gone, they didn't look for me. Didn't file a missing persons report. Didn't hire a private investigator. They just moved on for 10 years. They lived their lives while I rebuilt mine from nothing. Now they want forgiveness because their guilt is uncomfortable. They want me to absolve them so they can sleep better at night. But I don't owe them comfort. I don't owe them closure. I don't owe them anything. Sarah asked me if I'd consider meeting with them just once. She thinks I might regret it if I don't. Maybe she's right. Maybe one day I'll wake up and wish I'd heard them out. But today isn't that day. Neither is tomorrow. Maybe not ever. I built a life without them. A good life. I have a career I'm proud of. Friends who've proven themselves loyal. A future that's mine alone. I did that by myself, with no help from the people who were supposed to protect me. They made their choice 10 years ago when they decided a lie was more believable than my truth. When they valued their golden child over their adopted son. When they threw me out of their house and their lives without looking back. Now I'm making my choice. And my choice is to keep the door closed. Some people think that makes me bitter, unforgiving, cold. Maybe it does. But after everything I survived, the homelessness, the shame, the complete obliteration of my teenage years, I've earned the right to protect myself, to prioritize my own peace, to refuse to let the people who destroyed me waltz back in just because they're finally ready to acknowledge what they did. Chloe destroyed my life to save herself from embarrassment. My parents destroyed me to protect her. For 10 years, I meant nothing to them. So now they mean nothing to me. Last week I got an email from Susan. Subject line, please read this. I deleted it without opening it. Yesterday a package arrived. Return address from Austin. I threw it in the dumpster behind my apartment building. They'll keep trying for a while, I imagine. Eventually, they'll give up. They'll tell themselves they tried. They'll convince themselves that I'm the stubborn one, the unforgiving one. They'll make peace with the situation and move forward with their lives. And I'll do the same thing I've been doing for the last 10 years. I'll keep living my life without them. I'll keep proving that I didn't need them then and I don't need them now. Some doors, once closed, should stay that way. Mine is one of them. People can judge me for that if they want. They can think I'm wrong for not giving them a chance to apologize, but those people didn't live in their car at 17. Didn't watch their entire world collapse because of someone else's lie. Didn't spend a decade rebuilding themselves from absolute zero. I did. And if I learned anything from that experience, it's that I'm stronger alone than I ever was as part of a family that never truly accepted me. So, no, I didn't answer the door. I won't answer the next time they come. I won't read the letters or emails or listen to the voicemails, because I already got the only apology that matters. I forgave myself for believing, even for a moment, that any of it was my fault. The rest of them can live with what they did. I already am. Do you think I was wrong to keep the door closed?